With all due respect, I'd like your nomination. When will we see it?
There has not a single admiral or any military official has turned down a position that's been.
So when will we see your nominee for the Chief of Naval Operations?
In due time, for all the right reasons.
Again, I think we've seen the managerial incompetence. Okay, let's move on to budgetary incompetence. You missed the deadline to submit a draft defense budget to Congress, which makes it impossible for us to complete our work on the NDAA or appropriations, and makes it more likely you'll receive delays in funding you need for new acquisitions, programs, and other priorities. Additionally, you're blowing money on poorly conceived operations and vanity projects for President Trump. Retrofitting the Qatari jet to serve as Air Force One will cost about $400 million. The parade in D.C. this weekend will cost upwards of $40 million. Your bombing campaign in Yemen cost about $1 billion, and a week later they were having missile strikes in Israel. Your operations in L.A. will cost tens of millions of dollars, and you claim to be cutting costs at the Pentagon, but all I see are wasted dollars better spent addressing our most pressing threats like China. So, Mr. Secretary, what priorities have you cut funding for to pay for these projects?
Ma'am, I would just say your list left off securing the southern border.
So, Mr. Secretary, what priorities have you cut funding for to pay for these projects?
We make trade-offs every day, and I would imagine what we want to spend on is quite different than what the previous administration did.
Well, I think
we
the
made those changes quickly, and they're reflected in this budget, and we're very proud of them.
I think the American people can see why I'm so concerned about this incompetence. Thank you, and I yield.
That was Pete Hegseth, the man Donald Trump appointed to lead the U.S. military, struggling to explain why hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars are being poured into costly projects while pressing challenges like China's growing military capabilities remain underfunded. Instead of clear answers or spending priorities, he offered little more than deflection, and the hearing only became more contentious from there.
And it gets worse.
Let's just explain what's happening here. Right, so we're going to take 6,000 soldiers away from their family, away from their training. These folks are people that deploy all the time. We're going to take tanks from Texas, put them on rail cars, and ship them to Washington, D.C. We're going to line the streets of Washington, D.C. with metal plates so those tanks don't rip it up, right? All for the cost of over $50 million, right? That is wrong. It takes soldiers away from their families, away from their mission. It wastes taxpayer dollars. I just don't have time for parades.
More than 6,000 active duty troops were reportedly pulled away from regular military training, so a massive parade could be held in honor of Donald Trump's 79th birthday. The event was intended to project strength, but many observers described it as underwhelming. Gray skies, sparse crowds, and a subdued atmosphere made the carefully planned spectacle feel far less impressive than expected. Despite the significant cost and disruption, the parade quickly became a source of public criticism, with many questioning whether it was an appropriate use of military resources. According to Trump biographer Michael Wolff, Trump was deeply frustrated by how the event was perceived and later called Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to voice his complaints. The reported issue was not military readiness, taxpayer spending, or the impact on service members. Instead, Trump allegedly believed the soldiers appeared too relaxed, smiling, waving, and creating an atmosphere that felt more celebratory than intimidating. He reportedly questioned who had organized the event and why it failed to project the image of military power he had envisioned. To critics, the episode highlighted a broader concern that political optics and public image were being prioritized over military preparedness, accountability, and substantive leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I want to ask about the Republican big, beautiful bill, which will knock about 16 million people off their health care coverage and cut programs that keep groceries cheaper for millions of families in order to try to pay for about $4 trillion in tax giveaways that are mostly going to be sucked up by millionaires, billionaires, and wealthy corporations. So, Mr. Besson, Secretary Besson, I'd like to start with a very simple question. Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
They're varying scoring on that, Senator Warren.
You're the Secretary of the Treasury, so I'm asking you, what is your view? Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
It is my view that over the 10-year window, it will decrease.
You know, Do you have anybody who agrees with you on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me
No,
ask my question.
Okay.
Every credible independent expert agrees that Trump and the Republicans' big, beautiful bill would add trillions of dollars to the national debt and would not even come close to paying for itself. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the Penn-Wharton budget model, and the Yale Budget Lab all agree on this, and they're looking at 10-year windows, thank you. So do the Conservative Tax Foundation and Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, conservative groups. Even Elon Musk and the Wall Street Journal are criticizing the bill for ballooning the national debt. The only people who are saying publicly that it's not going to add to the national debt are you, Donald Trump, the Republicans in Congress. Do you have an independent group that has put forward numbers that disagrees with all of these conservative groups and disagrees with the Wall Street Journal on this?
Well, Senator, interesting to see you aligned with Elon Musk, but if I add...
You're no more shocked than I am.
If we want to take the full congressional budget scoring, they predict, and I don't agree with their methodology, they predict a $2.4 trillion deficit. But
okay, so the answer to the question is yes.
No, but may I finish? They include that, but they've also scored $2.8 trillion in tariff income. So even in Washington, D.C. math,
okay, so,
in Washington, D.C. math, that is a $400 billion surplus.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. This bill, you admit, will increase the deficit by $2.4 trillion, but you think there will be another bill and another set of agreements that somehow materialize, haven't materialized so far, don't have any statutory authority, but that will make up the difference. So the answer to the original question, will this bill increase or decrease the deficit? I think you just said it will increase. This bill increases the deficit.
No, I want to use all the CBO scoring, and you can't take one without the other. I don't agree with the CBO.
One is the law that we are scoring, the bill that is in front of us. We don't have a tariff bill in front of us to score.
Warren. Senator Elizabeth Warren exposed the same pattern in real time. When the conversation turns to cutting health care for millions of Americans, suddenly the national debt is treated as an urgent crisis that demands immediate sacrifice. But watch how quickly that concern disappears when the focus shifts to protecting tax breaks and financial advantages for billionaires. The warnings about fiscal responsibility fade, the spending concerns take a back seat, and the rules seem to change. To Warren, the contrast reveals a deeper political reality. Budget discipline is invoked when it justifies cuts that affect ordinary Americans, but it often takes a back seat when policies benefit the wealthiest individuals and corporations.
It does matter to you if we're knocking people off their health care, but not.
Well, first of all, that figure is overstated by 5.1 million. That is amount not attributable to provisions in this bill.
So you think it's okay just to knock 10 million people off their health care?
Same twisted priority list.
Critics argue that the same priorities appear again and again. Cut health care for ordinary Americans in the name of fiscal responsibility, yet defend tax breaks for the wealthiest while concerns about the deficit suddenly fade into the background. They see Pete Hegseth's leadership through that same lens, claiming that political image and loyalty often take precedence over broader national priorities. To them, this is more than routine government waste or political theater. It reflects a governing style in which public perception can outweigh difficult policy decisions, with every major move judged by how it strengthens the president's public image rather than how it improves national security. Those critics also argue that Hegseth has become a willing participant in that approach. They point to events such as the military parade, where thousands of troops were reportedly diverted from regular duties, and to congressional hearings in which lawmakers pressed him on spending priorities and strategic decisions. Their criticism is not simply about one event, but about a broader pattern they believe places symbolism ahead of substance. They question whether resources devoted to high-profile displays could have been better spent addressing long-term military challenges, modernizing capabilities, or preparing for evolving threats. The broader concern, they argue, is that while geopolitical tensions continue to rise, From instability in the Middle East to China's expanding military capabilities, the Pentagon's primary focus should remain on readiness, deterrence, and strategic planning. Instead, they contend too much attention is being devoted to managing political messaging and public perception. Whether discussing expensive military projects, controversial operations, or high-profile public events, critics say the same theme keeps emerging. Protecting the administration's image often appears to take precedence over addressing the nation's most pressing security challenges.